The map matters a lot in Lake Oswego. Welcome back to Living in Oregon. I am your host, Seth Marchant. Where you live around the lake is really going to impact your lifestyle. And contrary to what you may have heard, Lake Oswego can be affordable to just about anybody. Average price points in Portland are right around $600,000, and there's typically about half a dozen or so single-family homes in Lake Oswego that are right around those price points, usually kind of like 70s, 80s, 3-2, 13, 14, 1,500 square foot type of thing. So not the biggest and the newest home, but you can definitely get into Lake Oswego around average price points. And if you are a higher income earner and you want to keep a close proximity to Portland, and as you can see on the map here, Lake Oswego has a great central location in the Portland metro, really one of the better locations just immediately south of Portland. But if you don't want to pay those Portland city taxes for you higher income earners, you can still be in Lake Oswego and still have that close proximity. So a lot of people looking usually to Lake Oswego. You can also look to the southwest hills and down into Multnomah, also great areas, but price is going to be extremely sensitive in Lake Oswego depending on the location. Of course, you've got lakefront homes, like so many other places in Portland. You've got some elevation, so you've got some homes with really great views. There's a bunch of suburban pockets, especially on the west side, with areas closer to Portland or access to I-5. And you've got some areas that are really kind of quiet and feel tucked away. So today, I'm going to orient you a little bit better with Lake Oswego. And I've got a bunch of footage, driving or drone footage, to show you as well, so you can really see what these areas look like. And first, we will begin with the downtown area, also known as Old Town, and where you can see First Edition here on the map. My office is actually in this area. I'm very familiar with it. This is going to be the most walkable, urban feeling part of Lake Oswego. If somebody wants restaurants, coffees, farmers market, events, parks, the closest thing to Lake Oswego has to a downtown lifestyle is right here. Now, this area can be expensive because you are paying for walkability, location, charm, and of course the proximity. Now, the lake, of course, does get a lot of attention, but parks, trails, old growth trees, really developed neighborhoods are going to be a bigger part of day-to-day life for the residents here. Not every town in the Portland metropolitan area has its own dedicated downtown. Lake Oswego's is definitely one of the best, maybe could be argued as one of the best in the suburbs of the Portland metro. It's very vibrant. There's a lot of great restaurants down there. There's always something going on. So if you do want a little bit more of an urban feel, but you still want to be in the suburbs, this should be at the very top of your list. Now, as far as the type of homes here, you're going to find a mix. This is a place where you can find older homes, turn-of-the-century homes. You're going to find a lot of remodels here. Of course, there's a lot of luxury homes here. You can find some attached, some apartments, some condos. We'll get into that a little bit later in the video. A lot of these lots around the downtown, as you might imagine, are going to be smaller lots. So this isn't where you're going to find your largest lot if that's what you're looking for. And of course, these lots are going to be some of the most premium lots in all of Lake Oswego. Now we're going to actually work, just kind of makes sense to go counterclockwise in this case. I mentioned to you that the lake does not define living for everybody that lives in Lake Oswego. Lake Oswego is butted right up to Tryon Creek State Park. It's going to be one of the largest parks in the Portland metro. You actually find some homes that are going to be butted up right next to this park that will give you trail access. So if you are looking for something that has a much more wooded, maybe forested feel to it, you can find that in the Forest Highlands neighborhood of Lake Oswego. Lake Oswego does have a country club right here. This is one of the more kind of classic, prestigious areas of Lake Oswego. You're still close to the downtown, close to the lake, and in some cases, you're going to be closer to older established streets with kind of more of a traditional feel. So homes here can range from kind of more older established to new or newer luxury homes. In this area, lot size, condition, proximity to certain things can really swing values dramatically. So this is definitely one of the areas where Lake Oswego's older money and more kind of established neighborhood identity shows up. Initiation fee for the country club can vary depending on a handful of things, but could be up to $50,000. Continuing to move counterclockwise to the west of the country club, the high school is right here, and that's Lake Oswego High School. If you're on the north side of the lake, for the most part, you're going to be in Lake Oswego High School. If you are on the south side of the lake down here, you're going to be in the Lake Ridge High School School District. All of the schools in the Lake Oswego School District are very, very highly rated from top to bottom. So I don't know that too many people are going to be discerning about what schools that they want to be in, but just know it's going to be separated mostly between south and north for the high schools. Now you do have a very kind of unique section right here in Mountain Park. And in fact, my partner, Paul Clem, covered this recently. I mentioned to you at the beginning of this video, there's going to be some more affordable places in Lake Oswego. This will be maybe one of the most affordable places in Lake Oswego, specifically because you're going to find a lot of attached there. So if you are looking for a condo or a townhome, you're going to find a very high density of that here. You're going to find a lot of retirees there. You're a little bit more removed, so real estate's a little less expensive, as you can see as you move away from the lake, but you do have some shopping over there, so you're not exactly out on an island. And if you did want to be very close to the high school, of course, you're going to be a hop, skip, and a jump away. You've got right here a little strip mall with the New Seasons anchoring things. And there's going to be quite a bit more to the west here that I'm going to get into. But Mountain Park is one of the more distinct parts of Lake Oswego. It sits up on a hill, has a large kind of planned community feel to it. Like I mentioned, includes a lot of condos and townhomes. Does also have single family homes. So this will be one of the more accessible areas for people that want to be in the school district, close to the school rather, but not paying those luxury prices. So Mountain Park is Lake Oswego, but it doesn't necessarily feel exactly like a lot of Lake Oswego, and it's right on the border too. Got to be careful if you're trying to stay out of Multnomah County because you're trying to avoid higher taxes. Also, by the way, if you want to see more videos like this, we release new videos every single week. We've got hundreds of videos on our channel that are showing you what it's like to live in Oregon and Southwest Washington. So make sure and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'm going to continue moving along into the west here into places like Lake Grove, Lake Forest. This is kind of known as like the Boones Ferry corridor. Boones Ferry is a major throughway that goes right through here. And much like Mountain Park, this is also one of the more kind of practical, you're getting into some of the more practical areas of Lake Oswego. You can also find some unincorporated Lake Oswego over here. You do actually also have a lot of shopping, restaurants, services, grocery options. I'll get into grocery stores in a minute. You've got better access, as you can see, to I-5 over here. Also a little bit closer to Tualatin. So people over here living on the west side of the lake, this is downtown Tualatin. You might spend some time over here. Bridgeport Village is just right there. It's the only outdoor mall that we have in the Portland metro. It's about 20 years old, so it's a newer mall in the age of dying malls. Probably one of the more vibrant malls that still exist in the Portland metro. You're going to find quite a bit more commercial as you go along I-5. So this side of Lake Oswego feels a little bit less lake oriented and just kind of more like classic suburbs. Still very wooded and private in a lot of places, but also has a little bit more of a commercial and maybe a little bit more convenient feel sitting right next to I-5. So if downtown Lake Oswego is the more charming version and the lakefront is the more luxury version, then this kind of area over here, West Lake into Mountain Park, is kind of the more practical suburban version. Continuing along clockwise, getting into Blue Heron, you can see down here, these are actually canals right here. Lake Oswego is a reservoir, meaning that it's a man-made lake, at least for the most part. It did start out as its own body of water. You could call it a lake. Some people might have called it a pond. The reason why you might call it a reservoir now is because most of the lake, more than 50% of the lake, exists because of the work that people have done to the lake, and part of that is the canals. The original idea with these canals right here was to link up with the Tualatin River, which is just to the south. You can see right down here for shipping purposes, to be able to ship things in and out up the river and then into the lake. Does that exist as a thing now? No, I don't think they quite accomplished the goal that they initially set out to do, but those canals do exist. And if you want to be on the lake, maybe you're a little bit more focused on price point and your budget, the canals are going to be the most practical place to be. You can get into something on one of these canals for maybe in some cases just under $2 million, kind of right around $2 million. If you're anything significantly below that, then you're probably looking at something that's a fixer. This is one of these parts of Lake Oswego that you really need to look street by street. All the homes are going to be very unique. Every single home on the lake is unique. There's no two homes that are alike. I actually remember the first time I came to Lake Oswego, and it was I was driving down. I was a kid, so it was a long time ago, but I very vividly remember driving down South Shore Boulevard over one of these little bridges here, over one of the canals, and there were people out walking around, and they had kayaks. They were wearing swimsuits and life jackets. This was like kind of like summertime, and it gave me this like very like resort like type of feel. Like it feels like you're on vacation here, which the motto in Lake Oswego is live where you play. So a lot of people living in Lake Oswego really living up to that motto, living where they play. Now continuing to move counterclockwise here into Palisades, South Shore, and over into Glenmorrie, right on the border of Westland. This area, all this area down here, can definitely feel more residential, more tucked away. You're getting away from a lot of that commercial that we kind of just saw around I-5. You can find some larger lots around here, lake and river proximity, of course. This is also where you're going to find some elevation. So if you want to have a view, and that view is mostly going to be north facing. So you're going to have, some of these homes are going to have a really great view facing north towards Portland, kind of like a cityscape river backdrop. This area is definitely going to be a lot more secluded. Lake Ridge High School is right down here. This side of Lake Oswego is going to be more about privacy, trees, rain, kind of a quieter, more residential setting, more so than proximity to shops and walkability. Now to touch on the lakefront homes real quickly, you have homes on the lake, pretty much the entire perimeter of the lake. Like I mentioned before, if you want to be in the canals, you can get in around 2 million. If you want to be on the lake proper, it's going to be hard to get there under 3 million. If you're under 3, you might be looking at something that needs a little bit of work. I've seen some things kind of in mid 2s, but for the most part, you're going to be looking more like kind of 3 and up, depending on size and condition. And then of course, you can also be on the river. Do have a handful of riverfront homes along here, which is going to give you a different feel, of course, than being on the lake. You can access Portland and then even the Columbia River. Only kind of complaint that I hear sometimes about being on the river for people down there is some of the jet ski noise in the summertime. But other than that, going to be a really great experience. A little bit different than the lake, as you may have heard. The lake used to be private. As it stands right now, it is open to the public. Been that way for about a year now. So what we've seen with that is a lot of people on paddle boards, some fishermen, which are maybe some of the complaints I've heard most from locals is fishermen fishing right outside of like their dock or their lake access to their house. And that is an ongoing thing. So we will continue to monitor that to see how that turns out. I've done a video on that in the past if you want to check that out. Mentioned I show you grocery stores real quick. Lake Oswego runs the gamut here with the exception of budget groceries. There's New Seasons, Whole Foods, Safeway, Albertsons, Zupans, and even Trader Joe's. So it really kind of covers everything. You got, again, with the exception of like a budget grocery, but you've got groceries all around the lake. Lots of great parks, of course. George Rogers down here right on the river is one of my personal favorites. The only place the public can really access the lake right now is right down here in this little space right here. So that's where you will see people accessing the lake. So the big takeaway with Lake Oswego is you can't just understand it by saying, I want to live in Lake Oswego. You need to know whether you want to be on or around the lake, downtown. Maybe some of the schools are important to you, maybe commuting access, or maybe just finding the most home that you can get within the school district that you want to be in. So those are pretty different searches and will often point you to different parts of the map. If you want to learn more in general about Portland, we've got a great relocation guide. If you want to hit that QR code, input your information, we'll send it over to you. If you're thinking about moving to Lake Oswego or anywhere else in the Portland metro, reach out. I invite you to call, text, email, however you want to get in touch. You can find all the contact information in the description of this video below. And of course, you can hit that QR code and visit our website where you can find more information. Make sure and subscribe if you want to see more videos about what it's like to live in Oregon. And until next time, take care, everyone.